On today's show, a true love story that begins in a boat. Plus, childhood sweethearts, heartbreak, and a little bit of fishing along the way. You won't want to miss this one.
Oh, got her, boat side, right there.
Later, it's a tale of old boats and old motors and the collector who loves them all.
Evinrude, Champions, Martins, OMC.
Here we are actually inside of one of our glacial potholes.
And we continue our series, A Walk in the Park, this time Interstate State Park, a scenic getaway on the beautiful St. Croix River. Those stories and more, next.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hi everybody, Raven and I welcome you to the show. You know it's muskie fishing time and lots of people love to fish for muskies. But what happens when the love for muskies goes the other way?
This is a story with the perfect title, Muskie Love, I call it. See that fella casting, then casting some more? His name is Ben Olson. He loves muskie fishing. Loves it so much, he's a full-time fishing guide who specializes only in leading clients to the most elusive game fish in Minnesota.
Bring the rod all the way to the boat, then I just reach up and out. Nobody knows what makes us crazy about muskies.
The odds of catching a muskie or winning the slots in Vegas are similar, which may explain why his guiding business is called fishing hardcore.
It really grabs a hold of the people that get into it. It's crazy, this whole deal.
Do you have this no catch, no pay policy?
Absolutely not. We offer education and sightseeing.
So what's your batting average?
You know, in the old days it was 90% out here for sure. Oh, this lake was so consistent and so full of fish. Nowadays it's more like 70, I bet.
But this story, Muskie Love, is about more than fishing. It's also about puppy love in Blaine Junior High.
Ben and I dated when we were in 8th grade, if you can call that dating at that point in life. In fact, we started going together on Valentine's Day in 1992 at the school dance.
Kelly has always been one of my favorite people.
Obviously, you know, a young love like that doesn't last.
So young love was left behind and life carried on.
We just kind of went about our separate ways.
Kelly found her husband Jeff and moved away to California. Back home in Minnesota, Ben was struggling.
I, made some bad decisions after high school and ended up in some trouble with drinking, and I was in a car accident.
In 2008, Kelly's life was also changed by a drunk driver.
My husband, who then passed away, was killed in a car accident by a drunk driver.
Now the plot turns again.
After that, I got sober and I started working with an organization called SAD and another organization called AWARE in the high schools around here.
Meanwhile, Kelly, now a widow, moved back to Minnesota. And oddly enough, their lives crossed again.
I was putting things back in the keepsake box and I found a note that Ben had written for me in 8th grade. And it was just a big smiley face and it said, "Kelly, I hope you have a great day. I heart you, Ben." And I remembered that Ben was a fishing guide. And I just had this overwhelming urge to reach out to him. So I did what any girl in 2008 would do. I Googled him.
We got married June 30th, 2012.
So you think this could be the perfect ending to our tale of muskie love? Not quite. When we return, we'll continue the love of a muskie.
Ooh, he's barely hooked.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers, Jesse Treble's Safe Basements of Minnesota, Evinrude, the official outboard motor of Minnesota Bound, and by Kinetico.
So we continue with our muskie love story. Can love really blossom in a fishing boat?
Muskie guide Ben Olson is a devoted muskie nut.
These are the mainstays of modern muskie fishing, Ron. Everybody's heard of the cowgirl. It literally revolutionized muskie fishing lately as far as numbers and size. There's really nothing that's compared to it. The other revolution has been the giant soft plastics. This is a Medusa.
But you need to be 21 years old to throw that all day. It looks like a squid.
It is a strange looking creation. Well, we're looking at massive. This particular one has been extremely eaten.
You know, 10 years ago, Ben, nobody would have thought of throwing a lure that has the color of a carnival game here, you know, that bright, but that started, and now it just keeps going.
Yeah, you know, bright sun, clear water here. The fluorescent colors, the bright colors work really well. It is shocking in that clear water, especially when you can see it a mile out there.
There's nothing that the muskie eats that looks like that.
No, absolutely not.
A better question is, when does a muskie decide to eat? One answer might be when it wants to. Legend says it takes 10,000 casts to catch one.
As much as I love up north, I am kind of a city boy. I mean, the entire metro is just phenomenal fisheries.
So what's a muskie nut to do? Keep casting, keep wishing, and then...
Oh, got her, both sides, right there. Ooh, he's barely hooked.
Nice, boy, you must hit right at the boat.
Yeah, keep the net out.
He's netted. Oh, he hit right at the boat.
Nice.
Really nice sized fish here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Beauty.
This is a really typical size fish out here. We have a great number of these mid 40-inch fish, pushing 20 pounds, so a ton of fun.
Oh, they're so beautiful.
The catch and release is really paying off with our muskie fishery here in Minnesota.
As it should, our fishing fairy tale has now come true. That's muskie love in every way.
This is a 27 Evinrude here that I've been trying to find parts for.
Now, everyone collects something, but boats and motors? Hey, you betcha.
I'm dealing on another one right now.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Border View Lodge.
Welcome back. If you look in my garage, you'll see that I am a collector of mostly junk. Lots of us collect junk, but there are folks who collect things of value, such as old outboard motors.
Well, the boat is a 1956 Larson hardtop cruiser.
There's something about old boats
Supposedly only 2 of them left.
that old boat lovers want to keep afloat.
The outside, I've got it pretty well done. Except
Afloat himself now for nearly 90 years, Virgil Jensen of Battle Lake, Minnesota, is one of those.
all my life I've worked around boats and took care of boats.
A boat lover with no known cure.
I guess it's a love, if you can call it. This stuff, when it's gone, it'll never be again. And there's not that many people that know how the construction is of these things. I've done one other boat, that was a 1919, and that's over in Little Falls in the Fishing Museum over there. If I get this one done, I'm looking at another one. That's original bow light.
Another old boat that needs Virgil's tender love and care.
All the stripping, metal stripping is back on.
Son Phil isn't surprised.
When he called me and told me he was going to look at this boat, I said, is this really a project that you want to start? And he said, yeah, and it's just what he loves to do. I joke with him a lot of times, I wish he would have had this kind of patience when I was a kid. Okay, so you got the windows left to do there, but everything on the deck is pretty much done.
Yep. 5, 6 coats on there already.
Today, the old boats attract father and son.
And it takes the know-how. You know, I learned how to steam the ribs to get them to bend to fit in there.
Truth is, you don't just restore old watercraft, you fall in love with them.
My mom kind of makes the comment that he's obsessed with this boat, and I said, yeah, but just think, Mommy, he's not in your hair here in the house, so it keeps him busy, and that's what keeps him going.
It's an 18-footer. It was called a Noshki.
And to make sure the ancient craft are not forgotten, Virgil creates models of the originals, 1 inch to the foot.
Usually build a model every winter. These are built just like the old boats would have been built. They're cedar strips, oak ribs, oak trim.
With no boat plans to follow, Virgil relies on memory to make the models.
It's just from memory, from boats that I've had and took care of. I've run one of these for quite a few years with a 10-horse motor on it.
Now, old boats needed old motors, right? So, of course, Virgil also has a soft heart for aging outboards.
Most of these right here on the end are Evinrude, Champions, Martins, OMC, and then we start getting into the Johnsons. The little green one here on the end was my father's first motor. It was gone for 60 years when I found it. It still runs. I just put poly on it and left the way it was. Next one is a 1913 Evinrude detachable rowboat motor. To find them complete is very odd. This is a 27 Evinrude here that I've been trying to find parts for and put back together. Keeps me out of the bar.
It's been said a man can never have enough fishing rods or shotguns. In Virgil's case, we should add boats and motors.
I'm dealing on another one right now, if I can get the guy to turn it loose. When they find they're old, they think they're worth a lot of money, but they're just like restored automobiles. You gotta find somebody that wants it.
You gotta find Virgil.
I'm goofy. In the motors, I try to find something that's different, otherwise I'd probably have more.
Coming up, join us for a walk in the park as we visit a park with an interesting name and a more interesting geological history.
Minnesota Bound, brought to you by Ellsworth Cooperative Creamery, Minnesota Rebath, and by Totem Resorts.
Time now for another walk in a Minnesota park, right? This one, though, we share with the great state of Wisconsin, Interstate Park. If you haven't been there, you want to go.
Interstate State Park is just 288 acres, so it's one of the smaller parks in the state park system. But great things can come in small packages, and even though it's small, there is an incredible amount to see and do here. Interstate State Park is located along the St. Croix River in Taylors Falls, Minnesota, and it's only about 45 miles northeast of the Twin Cities. Well, we're here in the park in the springtime, which is a fantastic time to explore. We have 4 miles of hiking trails that offer a lot of diversity of scenery. There's some beautiful overlooks over a wider area of the valley from our river trail. If you're someone who's interested in birds or wildflowers, spring is a great time to get out. We're getting a lot of very small, colorful birds called warblers. We have a beautiful display of wildflowers on our river trail and our Sandstone Bluffs trail. The forest floor in some areas is covered with trillium that's blooming. So we have arrived at the widest pothole in the park, 26 feet wide. One of our most popular programs is our pothole tours. Glacial potholes were formed about 10,000 years ago in this park by a huge mile-wide river of glacial meltwater. As that was coursing south and carving through the very hard rock in this river valley, where it would start to spin and pick up gravel and sand and whip it around and around, it would create basically a liquid drill. And that water and sand was so powerful that it was able to drill very large holes into very hard basalt rock. So here we are actually inside of one of our glacial potholes, and this gives you an opportunity to feel the very old rock and then to feel how perfectly smoothed and polished the swirling sand and water finish them off. So this is the bottomless pit pothole. This is the deepest explored pothole in the world, and it was given the name the bottomless pit because when they were first starting to excavate or clear this pothole out to see how deep it was, they dug down 45 feet before they stopped. So they called it quits and decided that it must be bottomless, it must go on forever. Well, another crew came in a few years later, they continued to dig, and they actually hit the solid bottom of the pothole at 60 feet deep. So if you were to take a regular-sized school bus and tip it over on its end, you could actually fit 1.5 school buses down inside of this pothole. So it's quite a ways down there. Well, we'll continue on to Angle Rock. This is my favorite spot in the park. And we get to see the St. Croix River, some rapids that are going on right now because the river is kind of high. And the river comes and takes about a 90-degree turn around the rock that we're on right now before it continues downriver. So the rock that we've been walking over and under and through today is all basalt rock. And it's a very hard igneous rock that was formed by lava over 1 billion years ago. And as that lava cooled and hardened, we got these layers upon layers of basalt rock in this area. So we are going to get a chance to walk through an area here where a large boulder has cracked apart from our basalt wall. And we're going to squeeze through, and as you go, you'll get a chance to reach out and touch this billion-year-old rock. The basalt rock at the park, because of the way that it fractures, offers great hand and footholds for climbers. They're also climbing in an area where they can see the St. Croix River. So they have a fantastic backdrop during their climbing experience. The park is located not very far away from the Twin Cities area, but it's a completely different world that you enter when you step inside of it. You have an opportunity to walk on top of billion-year-old rock that has seen an incredible amount of history march past it, and so there's a lot of stories that the park has to tell.
You know, we're so blessed with our Minnesota State Parks. Enjoy, right? Well, that about does it for us. Remember, introduce a kid to the great outdoors. I'm Ron Sher, and of course, always, Raven, the star of the show, is panting into my microphone, right?
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.